just love the drama.
Biggest U-turn since winter fuel allowance.
Cut that.
Because loose lips, sink ships.
And what the fans want is to stop teams being owned by madmen.
Listen, you're really making a mess here. You're not doing what you're supposed to be doing. We're getting really cross with you.
The sticky patch came when the rest of the team's sticky patch came, which was sort of January onwards.
Grumble, boobs joke, hot ones.
No, let me tell you, I don't have to look at this objectively at all.
The Wednesday week!
Put on your podcast!
Hello, good evening, and welcome to another episode of the Wednesday week. My name's Dan Fudge. It's 8 p.m. We're live on the interwebs tonight. Joining me, I've got Stevie and Ash. It's just a threesome this evening. I'm not going to make any jokes in reference to that. This weekend, Sheffield Wednesday reaction against Brentford in FA Cup action. Were we going to be able to put the kids out and see if we could give ourselves some kind of account? And were we going to give Barry Bannon a rest? Stevie, how was your weekend? All right?
It was fantastic. I had a thoroughly great time at the football game on Saturday before we got to the football game on Saturday. But other than that, yeah, we're all good.
Yeah, the football can really ruin someone's decent weekend. Ash, I don't suppose you have the opportunity. Do you have the button on your screen to put the comments live on screen? I don't seem to have it, and it's doing me head in. I don't know if I've got it, but how was your weekend? Tell me about the swappings. Have you got your sticker book filled up yet?
Yeah, good weekend, mate. Fantastic. Honestly, we had the second edition of the TWW swap shop. And, mate, I'm down to my last 75 stickers I think I need out of 700 and God knows what.
Is there anybody that's like your nemesis? Is there anybody that's like a hen's teeth to get hold of that you're like, has anybody got this guy?
For me, it was the Sheffield Wednesday kit. I hadn't been able to get it, but then I got 3 of them on Saturday. So, and you should have seen me. I was like a pig in shit. Excuse my language.
Honestly, he's turned up Saturday. We've got there Saturday. He's turned up, and I don't think I saw him from 1:15 till 2:30 when he went, let's go and have a beer.
Yeah, it was
in and out of all the tables. What you got? What have you got?
Yeah, to be fair, ladies and gents, it was supposed to be for the kids, and we made damn sure that we wrote it on all of the POS. Didn't we? It's for the kids. Let's get the kids in. We've done 2 events now, and Ash has filled up a third of his book both times. So you know what I mean. We're all in good stead. But I'm glad we're all in good spirits, lads, because let's be honest, it's been a bit of a tough week in Sheffield Wednesday world. If you are watching this out in internet land, please don't forget to like and subscribe. It really does help us out. And a lot of the times Ash tells me off for forgetting to do so. So, Stevie, this weekend we were facing Brentford in the Cup. If I get the prediction graphic out, the one that we forgot to post, Charlie got it nailed on. I did as well. I didn't even know that. I must admit, I was being that was genuine. I thought I actually put 3-0. So that's a happy accident, isn't it? But we've got 5-0 there. Ash was going for a rather optimistic 1-1 and them to win on penalties. You weren't thinking for a big upset this time round, were you?
No. Not at all, if I'm honest with you. It was when the draw happened, you kind of go, it'd be nice to get an away day, and I think we've spoken about it. We don't have much to cheer about at the moment, so going to a decent Premier League ground, spending the day out there, maybe getting a bit of TV coverage, get a bit of money in or whatever, or go the other end, although thankfully we didn't have the sort of the misfortune that Crystal Palace did, getting a like a non-league team coming in and having a look at it from that point of view. But Brentford is a really vanilla type of fixture, wasn't it? So when the draw came out, it was just, oh, okay then. And it was a sort of a game that you'd have to go and get to. But off the back of the previous 2 games, 2-3-0s in the better part of a week, it was never going to be one of those that you're thinking, I'm going to enter Saturday with any sort of optimism or expectation that we're going to do anything. And when you saw the news throughout the week of this player going out and this player being injured and this player not being available and the likelihood that we'll not see Harry Amass again, you're then at a point where Saturday's something that you're just going to have to go to and get out of the way, really, wasn't it? And that's how, I don't know about Ash. We knew we were doing the swap shop, but Friday night, I think I texted Ash and sort of said, right, what's the plan, what we're doing? And it was only by chance we ended up sat together. because nobody else had bought the tickets on that row, and it was literally a 11 o'clock Saturday morning sort of thing. What ticket have you got? I've got that ticket. Oh, I suppose I better go then. Yeah, let's do it. And that's what happened. And, you know, when we got there, it was underwhelming at best, I suppose we could say.
There was a bit of chat, Ash. Sorry, a bit of windy pops there. There was a bit of chat at the start about giving Bannon a rest. I feel like that's definitely what Pedersen did. If I get the lineup up there, we've got Charles, Fusiri, Emery, Otabeo, McGee, Allow, Thornton, Ingleson, Shipston, McNeil, and Kadamari. I was going to say very much a change side, but then if I say it's a change side, that makes it sound like we played a completely different lineup. But, you know, notably there, Allow gets a start. Joe Emery gets a start. You know, there was a potential there of chucking the kids to slaughter a little bit.
Yeah, I may say something a bit controversial here, and we don't tend to do that on this show, do we, Daniel?
Not me.
But we are relegated, aren't we? So yeah. I know, Steve. It's a shocker. I know. I don't want to spoil any. I don't want to pee on anyone's chips, but I think we're going to be relegated. So why not go for it in the cup and try and get to the next round, because we need money rather than putting the kids out to be slaughtered. Do you know what I mean? I get that. But so letting Bannon off, Palmer on the bench, some other first teamers. Do you know what I mean? And we'll get into obviously Pierce Charles in a bit, but I was thinking Brentford, yes, they were the fifth in the Premier League. They're in a good run. I was expecting them to put out a lot weaker team, to be honest, than they did, which fair play to Brentford and Keith Andrews for doing that. But I was thinking that, yeah, let's go for it in the cup. So I would have probably played as strongest team and then played the kids in the league. Do you know what I mean? And given
I get what you mean. That, you know,
try and get that extra few $100,000 in. Yeah. I'd have done
There's an element here, right? So Matt Talbot's put a good comment there. I mean, you know, you've got another few injured to add to our tally. Shipston allowing Charles Pedersen should start only naming 5 or 6 subs to send a message to the league that welfare is paramount and it's getting worse. This is becoming quite an issue. You know, Sheffield Wednesday have gone to the EFL to ask for a special dispensation once again to be able to get a couple of players in January. Whether that takes place or not is still in the lap of the gods, and you know, let's hope they get back to us soon enough, because January is ebbing away. Even though in terms of if your payday is at the end of the month, January is the longest month in the world, isn't it? You know what I mean? It can really drag on. Let's get into the game, shall we? Right. So let me find my notes. So it started off. I mean, Brentford went straight at us. You know, Stevie, they were coming straight at us, and I think the first one, it turned out to be a save onto the crossbar, didn't it?
Yeah. Forgive me, I can't remember which player it was, but we were obviously sat together, and it was a cut inside from out wide, and he's just lashed the ball and it's clipped the bar. And to be fair to Ash, has turned around and said he saved that. And Charles tipping it up at full stretch was, you know, it was almost a sort of a sign of the things to come, because that was the first of several very good saves that he made whilst he was on the pitch in that first hour or so. But the tempo that they came in and they were just pinging the ball about. We just had a bit of a chat off air about the side that they put out. They weren't putting out the mugs. They weren't putting out the kids. They you know, they're in that situation now where even their second string or their relative or the team that you consider to be the backup, they've still put Jordan Henderson on the pitch. They've still put Damsgaard out there. They've still got Jensen playing there. The Pinnock, and was it Pinnock that played at the back as well? Yep. You know, they had some decent players out there. So to watch them going in there, and for the first sort of 10-15 minutes it was zipping, it was popping, and I think we acquitted ourselves relatively well. But every now and again it was almost, right, I'm just going to let you know we're going to get out second gear now, we're just going to move up one, and that was a shining example of what had happened. And Brentford just geared up, the fella hit the ball, and Charles managed to full stretch, and he's much maligned for the size that he is. he still managed to get something, the faintest of touches on it to tip it onto the bar in what was an excellent save. So yeah, that was a little bit of an early warning sign, really.
Yeah, very much so. And then they hit the crossbar again, Ash. I mean, it's a sign of things to come. At this point, we're thinking this is going to be 5-0, isn't it?
Yeah, they did put the early pressure on. Yeah, like I said, Stevie said, a great first save by Charles. Got in early, got a touch of the ball and put it onto the bar. And then, yeah, it came 2 minutes later. It was blooming on the bar again. It had that inevitability about it, weren't it? They'd set up and they're coming at you. And I know you said before, we were chatting before, that we got battered, they battered us. And I didn't feel that at the time. But obviously, if you look at the stats and if you watch the highlights, I think there's a key highlights one. It's just basically just Brentford attacking and Charles being the Superman that he is, making some great saves. But yeah, it was a tough watch.
It really was.
At the time, I was sat there and I was like, yeah, with the team we've put out, the guys, they had some nice passing between them, not really challenging anything forward because I don't think we've got that much forward attacking threat anyway. But yeah, just Brentford coming at you. It's not the nicest, is it?
Do you feel like there was an element of they needed this, they needed to win it?
I feel that they wanted to get it over and done with early because of the I don't know. I've not watched a great deal of Brentford, if anything, this season. But where they are in the league, they did put a strong 11 out. I would have thought they'd got a couple of goals or 3 goals before half time and then made wholesale changes at half time. And it didn't. For credit to Sheffield Wednesday and the guys playing, they didn't have that. They didn't have that easy. You know what I mean? 3-4-0 half time. They still had to come out the second half and do so. I think fair play to all playing, and we're saying kids. And I think was the stat something like 13 out of the 18 were academy players. So
wow,
yeah. Fair play to him. Fair play.
There was that stat, wasn't there, that the starting 11, Ingleson was the only one over the age of 22, and I think the average age was it 19, 20 or something like that?
Was it?
20.3 was it?
20.3. Pete Lohman put it in the LMS chat, but you know when you're going out, Ingleson at 27 years old is the oldest player on the pitch by 5 years, and I think the next one down was McNeil at 22, and then you've got a list of raft of players. Geez, Allow, I turned to Ash and said, you know, I got married before Allow was born. Do you know what I mean? it's just one of those. It makes you think we're dealing with situations where some of these youngsters that are coming in, we throw them in and we talk about it week in, week out. And it's very, very difficult to talk about things on a regular basis that are linked to Sheffield Wednesday at the moment, because there's only so much you can do when it's, let's have a look at the lineup. Let's have a look at who's been playing. Let's have a look at this player coming in and that player coming in. And I think, do you know what? I know it's hard. And we, off air, pull the curtain back a little bit. Off air, we kind of go, this is hard work. I think we deserve a hell of a lot of credit for being able to keep going with, you know, the same stuff that we're dealing with week in, week out. But that side, my God, where do we go with it? And what happens next? I just don't know.
But I feel like we'll get into this as well, because you know, obviously we're going to talk about more of the takeover stuff later on in the show, and I feel like the two are hand in hand, and I feel like we're getting a bit antsy as a fan base because we are all quite fed up. You know what I mean? And because some of the deadlines, arbitrary deadlines, you know, let's be fair, have been perceived as being missed, and the transfer window's open. I feel like we're putting 2 and 2 together and getting 5, but we'll get down there in a minute, because let's go on, Ash.
Sorry, Dan. I want to just give like a positive. I don't want to be. We know that we played the kids. We're out of the cup. We've suffered some injuries, but I want to be positive because I looked to that 11 players that played, and yes, the stats and everything. But I don't think there was a player that was out of position. You know, there's usually a player that we go, oh God, he's had a great game. Oh, he's been awful. Absolutely. But I don't think any of them starting 11 had a bad game against a Premier League team, which was 60, 70% of first team starting. I think Emery, McGee, allow Shipston. I thought Stevie made the point of the game. He thought Shipston played well as well. So do you know what I mean? These players haven't had a lot of first team football against Premier League opposition, and I think.
Sorry, just can you sum that up for me there? Because I need to make sure I got you right, because I was about to just say something curt then, right? The young players did really well. Specifically, the youngsters that haven't had a lot of football.
Yes, but I did say all 11, so included Ingleson and obviously Charles had a fantastic. Even Otabeo, which you're
putting Sean Fuzier in that bracket.
What? Apart from the goal that he left, but I didn't think he had a massive. He wasn't awful. Do you know, we've singled out players before, like Otabeo, and saying he's, oh my God, what's he? I couldn't say that against any of the players, apart from... Yeah, do you know what I mean? The Fazer thing was the first goal, yes. He lost his man at the back post. How many times? Near post, you could blame the keeper, near post, near post, far post. We don't know, Steve. We had that discussion, didn't we? But that was my positive of it. Do you know what I mean? There wasn't one player that was god-awful.
Fair enough. The second half came around, as I said, Sean Fuzier got beat on the back stick, and they scored what looked like a very easy goal with a cross from Jensen, who, again, I identified in the Hello from the Other Side as the best player that was on the pitch when we played him in the Cup last year. But I want to talk to you, Stevie, just as we get to this halftime thing, about sliding doors moments. Now, we had a sliding doors moment against Crystal Palace, what's now 16 years ago. And it seems ridiculous to say that something happened 16 years ago and that was our sliding doors moment. And look on to where Crystal Palace went to last season and how far they've got. There's part of me that's genuinely laughing that they lost to Macclesfield, don't get me wrong. But Brentford is also another sliding doors club for us. You know what I mean? Like this is a team that we beat 20 years ago to get to a playoff final. And this is a team that we've had some really good ding-dongs with over the years. And then the last 5 years, they've been absolutely bloody brilliant compared to us. This is going to sound like a ridiculous thing, but if anybody's out there that's ever seen Red Dwarf, there's the character Ace Rimmer. Smoke me a kipper, I'll be back for breakfast. Right? And the premise of that character is that he's from an alternate dimension, and he's the one that gets kept back a year at school. And the Rimmer that we know in the show is the one that didn't get kept back a year. Now, with Brighton and Brentford and Bournemouth, they got kept back those years. They got kept back in the Championship a bit longer, and they've managed to build their team. And I think we're witnessing it with Coventry right now as well, where they've built their team up over a number of years, and then now all of a sudden, here it is. Here we go. This is what's happening. And I feel like what Brentford have done is over the years slowly built up a hell of a project, and Brighton and Bournemouth, and you'd even argue Fulham to an extent as well. And now they're starting to become established Premier League teams. And I feel like we as fans are a little bit impatient because we've been out of the Premier League for 25 years and we've got entire generations of families now that don't know us as a top flight team. That's why we've got so many Wendy Dars, as we call them, because there isn't anybody younger than us that was sat there watching football and got excited about watching Lee Peacock and Guy Branston. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, the two things I'd say in response to that. You're absolutely right, and I totally agree. The analogy, the Rimmer analogy, is absolutely on point. By the way, Brentford, somebody somewhere that is a little bit more learned than me, a bit more analytical and statty than I am. Off the top of my head, I believe Brentford were the last game that we played before we went into lockdown. The 5-0 down at Griffin Park, is that right? 5-0. Yeah. Cameron Dawson had a bit of a stinker. He's been much maligned over the years on this podcast because of it. But he got
nutmeg from about 20 yards. He got nutmeg from 20 yards.
You think of that and where we've gone since COVID and where they are now, and everything we talk about from Brentford in terms of that model. It's not just the development of the squad, it's the development of the club and everything that's happened around it. And back in those days, it was, and with due respect, listen to the Hello from the Other Side, we were talking about Mark Warburton being a manager. We were talking about Dean Smith. Thomas Frank was Dean Smith's assistant. And then what they've done is they've gone in, they put the right people in the right place, and they've gone, we're not going to over-egg it. We're not going to go and try and overachieve. We're not going to be too big for our boots. We're going to build it gradually, and we're going to see where we can go. And by chance, they got to a point where they can speculate to accumulate a little bit further. And I think, to your point, where it comes to being held back a year versus going forwards, one of the previous chairman's big faults was that he wanted too much too quick, and he wanted to do it on the cheap. And, we're suffering for that, 7 years later from that point of view, 16 years later from the Crystal Palace point of view, those sliding doors moments. You're absolutely correct. We need one of those moments now. But what we also need to do, just to go off on a little tangent away from the opposition teams, we need to start thinking about what we're doing in terms of us as a fan base and the things that we're demanding and the things that we're expecting. Because I think whatever happens, and to tie it into everything we might talk about later, whatever happens with us, nothing's going to be good enough at the moment. And
no.
I fall in that category. I have to admit it. I've got my reservations and my skepticism about whoever it is that's going to be coming in and what the process is at the moment. But it doesn't matter at the minute. We're getting to that point where it's not going to be good enough. Sorry.
Let's pick at that thread later on. I think that's gonna be an interesting chat. Ash, Brentford absolutely came at us the second half, and I feel like Charles made some absolute outstanding saves, some absolute beauties of saves. Ones where they cleaned through, where they were absolutely tearing through, and then the poor geezer got injured on the hour mark. Now, we are used to our players getting injured on the hour mark, but this was Charles going off, I believe, a shoulder injury. Do we know if it's connected to the shoulder injury that kept him out for the 3 months at the start of the season, or is it a different shoulder?
It's the other one.
Great. Sick.
Yeah, he made a great save. It was a fantastic save, and I think it was just right after that he pulled up, sat his ass down, and trainers came on, and as soon as he sat down, Logan Stretch was out stretching, no pun, warming up, and he came off that pitch, and I tell you what, I don't think I've seen many reactions from a player coming off the pitch like that. He was distraught. He barged past everyone, pushed everyone out of the way. One of the, I don't think it was Pedersen, but one of the backroom staff went up to him, pushed him out of the way, threw everyone straight down the tunnel, and he looked heartbroken. Absolute. And you're looking at someone and you're thinking, he knows he's done something bad here. He knows he's probably injured for a while. And Stevie made a great point as we were talking about it. It's a World Cup year, isn't it? And they're in the playoffs, as well, aren't they? So it's a bad one. We know these quality. We know how good he's been, and he showed in that, like I said, the first hour of the game.
But then again, Stretch made a couple of decent saves towards the back end of the game as well, I thought.
100%. I think the second he made a good save. He came out and claimed the ball, which first touch, brilliant. And then the second thing was that he had to pick the ball out of the net for the penalty, but no one would, not even Charles would have stopped that penalty. It was a cracking penalty.
Hell of a penalty.
And it was a penalty as well. It was, I think it was Emery, weren't it, who legged up
McGee.
Donovan. McGee was it? The number 45, the Donovan who you mentioned in the.
It was absolute stonewall, to be fair, in terms of penalty. You know what I mean? But I tell you what, let's go to an advert break, and then let's sum up, and then let's get into the other bits.
Don't skip ahead, don't press that button. These ads are lean, not belly mutton. A tiny break before we pop, and don't forget when fun stop.
So as it stands, there was a few statistics that came out. Brentford had a XG, if you're an XG guy, of 4.55, and we had 0.37. Yet another game goes by where we are expected to score less than 1 goal. But the way the stats tell it is they absolutely battered us, and I felt they did. But Ash is a proponent, as they say, of the eye test, and stats don't tell the story. Ash,
you can make any stat narrative the story as much as you want, can't you? But the eye test, that's us football fans, innit? We sit there, we pay his money, we watch. We don't sit there and go reading the thing going, oh, XG or 1 shot, 2 shot. You make your decision, and we do it every week here, don't we? We're not stats people per se, but we watch the game and we come and talk about it, and that's what those stats there were all red. It was 65% possession, God knows how many shots, and you do look at that and you think, oh my God, they got battered. How did anyone sit there for 90 odd plus minutes? through that. But I thought it was like I mentioned before, I thought it was a good performance by the team against tough opposition. That's
Stevie, was Ash drinking a lot or heavily before the game, or was he pissed up? Did he turn up pissed up? Did you smell it on his breath? Kids, if you went to the swap shop, did you smell Ash? Oh, Ash! Jesus Christ. Okay, so let's get into the tasty stuff. I'll tell you what, Ash. Actually, what I'd like to do is I'd like to do something positive, and let's talk about something good. So. There's a local boxer. He was part of the kit launch back in 21-22, back then, and we had that wonderful video of Barry Bannon doing the punching on the bag. And Dalton Smith had the opportunity to go to New York, go away for the. Let me get this right. It's the WBC light welterweight. Tell me about it. You're the boxing guy, Ash.
Yeah, light welterweight title. Over to Brooklyn, New York. Yeah, mate. 4:00 Sunday morning, alarm was set. Up at him, me and the lad, and yeah, mate. I'm a big boxing fan. I've been to the arena a couple of times to watch Dalton fight, and it was fantastic, mate. Heavy underdog, Matthias. 23 wins, 22 by knockout. He's lost twice now. Ferocious puncher, apparently, but the man from Sheffield got a steel chin. It was fantastic, mate. Totally boxed his head off. Actually, the way he won it was totally against anybody who was calling the fight was how Dalton would win. And he just stood there in the middle of the ring, took everything that he could, and brought the green and gold home to Sheffield. It was fantastic, mate. And
it was absolutely fascinating as well, because what's the other fella's name? Matthias, did you say?
Matthias, yeah.
And
Subriel Matthias.
And he got done back in November for performance-enhancing drugs, and he had in his system some Ostarine. Now, being a gym bro myself, obviously I've given Ostarine a whack, and I tell you what, it works. It's good stuff. But the interesting thing about it is he had it in his system, but it didn't register. Like they say, like Shandy Bass, right? Yeah. If you had like a Shandy Bass, that's got 0.05 alcohol in it, but it's okay to give to kids because it doesn't count as 0.1 of alcohol. It was this, it's got a cut off. It was the same with the Ostarine in Matthias's bloodstream. So, it managed to go to the States as well, where it's difficult to try and get an away win, as daft as it sounds, because boxing's bent as a 9-bob note a lot of the time, innit? And he's gone up and absolutely boxed him up. It was absolutely wonderful to see, and I think it's been summed up really well by Rob Shirley here, saying how good was it to see someone in blue and white perform so well, which I really agree. But I really wanted to bring that up because it's nice to talk about something positive. Do you know what I mean? Right, go on, Stevie.
I was just going to say, just off the back of that, it really the way that the club endorsed it as well was nice. And I know it's difficult, and Dalton Smith is a credit to the city, and it's great that we've got somebody, and we have had boxers that have been associated with the other side of the city as well in the past. To see somebody in blue and white, to see a Wednesdayite who's renowned, and the club getting behind him, that tie-in there I thought was really, really, really good. So if there's anything that we can do in terms of getting, hopefully we'll see him at some point in the near future with the belt pitch side before the game kicks off. Parade. Saturday. Is he back on Saturday? Is he coming?
He's flying back now, so he'll be back.
Right.
So hopefully,
if Saturday's the one, or whenever it may be, and you know what, I'll say selfish, but from a point of view where we can maybe say, right, if it means that we get a few more people in the gate, through the door, whatever we can do, then let's do it. Let's make a deal of it, and let's obviously recognise somebody who is clearly a Sheffield Wednesday fan. So I don't think we've done enough of that. We've certainly not done enough of that in the past with the previous regime. So let's start jumping on it. We're looking for all these positives and these changes now. The team are listening, the club are listening. Can they do something to make a deal of it? Because I can't remember the last time we had a Sheffield Wednesday fan, he says, as a world heavyweight champion.
I'm having some microphone problems here, chaps. You will probably notice that it's significantly changed. Ash, can you bash some adverts up while I press some buttons?
Of course.
Thanks, man.
Yeah, that's no problem. Join us after these short intervals.
Don't skip ahead, don't press that button. These ads are lean, not belly mutton. A tiny break before we pop. And don't forget the fun. Stop.
Nope, that's not worked. I don't know what's gone off. So you're going to have loud, echoey Dan Fudge for the rest of this episode. My apologies, ladies and gents. I don't even know why I'm talking into this microphone in front of me. It's now become I may as well be talking into a carrot right now. So anyway, let's talk about the juicy things. Let's talk about the stuff, Stevie. Let's talk about the shot housing from the Cadamartri family. Bailey Cadamartri has been heavily linked over the last couple of weeks with a move to Scotland, and Danny and Bailey posted this picture up of them at the airport at a Ryanair flight. And to be fair, Danny's had a bit of fun online with it and all the rest of it. And given that we are pant-wettingly all pissed off online right now, it's caused quite the stir. And then he's also uploaded this one of them at the beach. Now, I need to admit something. Is it wrong of me that I know that that's Benidorm Beach?
I was genuinely about to say, I've been there. I was there on a stag do 5 years ago.
I've never been to Benidorm.
Oh, you're missing out, mate.
Listen, off air, we're going to have a chat because I've got big plans for us. Forget your nights out over the here and there. Wednesday week are going away. We're going away. We're going to Benidorm. So that's their chat.
Lovely.
Absolutely down for it. Absolutely down for it. I mean, what do you feel about that, Stevie? Do you feel like it was a bit tongue in cheek, or is it because we're a bit too sensitive right now?
I think it was tongue in cheek. I think we are a little bit sensitive at the moment. I'm more interested to see the narrative around the conversations being had around whether or not we should keep him or let him go. And I think what Cadamartri's dad, Danny Cadamartri, has done is basically said, right, we'll show you. If you're going to start talking smack on the internet, we're going to sort of lean into it. And it almost felt like they'd done it. And that first one, the airport shot, he 100% knew what he was doing. He 100% knew it. He doesn't do that 2 weeks ago. He doesn't do it in 3 weeks' time when Cadamartri scored another 2 goals or whatever. The fact that we're talking about it, we're in January and everything else, I absolutely believe that he knew what he was doing. He was stoking the fire. People have jumped on. And to be fair to Danny, he's then come back and said, look, people are talking, people are saying this, that, and the other. We know what's being said, but we're just going away for a few days. And, you know, fair play. He needs a break. Go have a break. Do we have a conversation about whether or not we should take him out the firing line for a bit? Because we're not at that point at the minute, are we, where he's had that time off. So does the boy need a little bit of a rest? He's played a lot of football. He's gone backwards and forwards to Jamaica and the Caribbean to represent his country. Yeah, we are where we are with it, aren't we?
Yeah, I don't mind it. I mean, what about you, Ash? Do you feel like we should have just let him have some time off? The Jamaica point's an interesting one, actually, isn't it?
Yeah. So I totally agree with Stevie. Social media, he's put it on. It's his facial expression as well, he's a wide-eyed. Look the bid coming from was it Hibernian? I think apparently for anywhere up to $1 million. I think it was reported, but I'm sure it was a lot less than that. He's done. Well, we are, aren't we? The people there's lots going on at Sheffield Wednesday, or there's perceived to be a lot going on without nothing going on. If what we're on about, I'm not too bothered. The lad's played quite a few games of football. Yes, he's not in the best of form, but yeah, if he's gone away for a few days to the sun, I'd love to go away a few days in the sun. So yeah, it's just
end of season, mate. We've earned it this year. End of the season, we're going away.
No.
Dan's still fiddling, so I'm just going to put this up. It's Jay Blogs, and you can look at it from the other perspective. To be fair to fans discussing him, Cads has been pants, so hasn't he? And do you know what? I've said it, and I'm going to go out there and stick my neck on the line. I've been the first person that said, does he need a little bit of time out? And I caught a few pelters a couple of weeks ago when I suggested that maybe Ugbo, he was performing on that sort of level now where, do we need to maybe look at him going in rather than Ugbo? Ugbo going in rather than him. I don't know. I'm not sure that I'm not sure that keeping him in is the right way to go. I'm not sure that if we take him out, we've got the firepower or the person that can go in there and replace him either. So I genuinely don't know what the answer is.
Can you hear me now?
Yep.
Lovely stuff. All right. Do I sound any better? I've changed to a new microphone.
Yes, you do, Daniel.
And you can stop distracting me now because I'm trying to fill while you're doing it, and all I can see is this, and I'm like, "What the bloody hell are you doing?" So I've just talked about Bailey Cadamartri for 2.5 minutes. Made absolute zero sense whatsoever. People are probably sitting here going, "Award-winning." I like that. Guys, we won an award for this podcast, just so you know.
Okay, so let's get into the juicy affair, right? So let's get into some background of what's gone off.
You've gone again, Dan.
And there we are. Right, I don't know what's gone off the last couple of weeks with this microphone, but what's gone off the last couple of weeks with Sheffield Wednesday is that it was announced on Christmas Eve that we had preferred bidder status. It was announced by Paul, the co-administrator, that we got preferred bidder status. Then about half an hour later, Rob Statten announced a consortium led by James Board, who I understand to be Sheffield Wednesday's preferred bidder, has majority shareholding in Dunfermline, also have minority but substantial stake in Cordoba. Expect to plan to use data analytics to recruitment policy. Right now, that's some wonderful journalism by there. It's Rob's story. Rob got to break it. Rob got to put it out. Fair play to him, right? That's his story. Then, because it was Christmas Eve, a lot of things kind of broke off. A lot of issues, you know what I mean, kind of just got put on the back burner while we all filled ourselves with cheese and pigs in blankets. But bear in mind, no one else broke the story that it was James Board. No one else did. And then last week, Clive Betts went on to Rob Statten's show and started demanding that because Sheffield Wednesday fans have been through so much, they deserve an update. Now, what happened to Rob, who kind of got caught in the crossfire of this, but I think he was genuinely surprised by a lot of the backlash, might be the wrong word, a lot of the attitude of some of the Wednesday fans sort of saying, I don't want to know. I don't want to know what's Clive Betts got to do with this. You know what I mean? Why can't we just let the process play out, and we want to do it properly, and it needs to be done. Then the following day, we got the 3 names announced of the people that were going to be part of the consortium, and it's James Board, Felix Römer, and Al Sharif Faisal bin Jamil. All of them who are part of the short circuit science company that owned Cordoba and Dunfermline. So we got these names, and a lot of us went, right, you know what I mean? What do you want me to do with that? You know what I mean? Now, did you feel, my first question here, and I'll come to you, Stevie, because you brought up earlier on, did you feel that this entire kayfabe with Clive Betts, I feel like Clive got stitched up a little bit here as well. This kayfabe with Clive Betts was to try and draw out an appetite for a demand to know who the preferred bidder was, because Rob clearly had a decent story there and wanted to drive home that story. He wanted to be the one to break it, and why not, right? It's his tale. I mean, it felt to me like a little bit of a key jangle to then go, and now I'm going to give you the real story. What do you reckon?
I don't really know what to make of it all, because I've kind of not distance myself, because it's not something that we do as fans that are interested, that want to know. I've kind of taken everything with a pinch of salt. I understand the reasons why he did it and what was said, but to go back, it's almost like we circled back to Clive Betts. And immediately when you do that, it's almost like, not Stockholm syndrome, but you get those sort of those memories of where we were 2-3 months ago with Clive Betts saying that we needed this and we wanted that and we wanted the other. So by its very nature, going out and having that person come out and speak on a platform where we have had such negativity and such bad news, it's almost like you get those, you know, I'm getting those memories coming back to me. I don't know. I understand on paper why it was done. I don't know what good it will have brought, if that makes sense, in the sense
to me personally.
Sorry, Dan, has it not just whipped up a little bit of a frenzy on the internet, on social media, online, where people are now going, and they're pointing fingers at each other and let it all play out. It's playing this way, but it can't play out because it's all going to be negative and we've got problems coming. He's going this way, and you've got the people in the middle that are saying we're all going to let it play out. And before you know it, we're all pointing fingers at each other again.
It came across to me personally as Rob trying to make sure it was him that broke the story, and I don't think he gambled on a good bunch of measured Sheffield Wednesday fans, and I'm very much in that camp, who went, just let it play out. Just let it play out. And this is going to sound ridiculous, right? And I need you to bear with me on this. You know, and because I've spoken to you in the past, and I've definitely brought it up on this show. You guys know that I have this huge issue with the way that people of Yorkshire are perceived, especially being an expat myself that lives outside of Yorkshire. Every piece of media that you consume about people from Yorkshire, they always go down the same stereotypes. You know, strong in arm but thick in head, and no, really, love, let's have a cup of tea and get some washing up on, and all this, and this is all bloody shite, and it's all like, you know, Jeffrey Boycott and big loudmouth Northerners, and I really dislike that that stereotype, and I feel that by doing that, I think what it did was make a lot of us, or without, you know, it wasn't the intention of it, don't get me wrong, but I felt like it made a lot of us, it treated us with a bit of disdain to make us look like mouth-breathing headline readers. Does that make sense? Like, I feel like, hey, yeah, kids, you like this, don't you? And then when Rob got pushed back on saying, you know, what are you doing? Why are you doing this? You know, why are you stirring this up with the administrators? Why are you essentially drawing a line in the sand? Because that's the way it came across. And again, I don't believe that was Rob's intention. What Rob did was then double down. And this is where I disagree with what Rob did. He sat there doubling down going, well, I can't believe that you as Sheffield Wednesday fans don't want to know what's going on. And I didn't like that.
This is my take on it, Dan. And right, Rob's come at it, and I can see where he's coming at. That your last point then, I can see what he's saying. He's, look, you've had a shy owner or for the best part of 10 years. And why aren't you asking the questions about the potential new owners? Because you don't want same again. And people were asking that. We demand to know who these are, and we know the process. We know these people behind with the money that are going to potentially be preferred bidders or putting in for want to be anonymous for reasons that they want to be. And it's not for us. We can demand, we want to know who they are, but we've got that information. We've got these three names. What does that change to us? What can we do about that? We can do fuck all. No, honestly, we can't. The names are being put forward to the EFL. They're going through their due process, whatever that is. If they're going through all the bank records and all that. If I don't like James Board, or if a supporters group doesn't like James Board, if, I don't know, just say the Trust, who've got probably the biggest membership, don't like one of them, what can they do? They can moan to the media and then they can't affect anything. They won't change. So what, me knowing them three names, does it change? I can't do anything with that information. So you might as well not know them. Because if you know them before, if it was, a lot of people are dead set against Mike Ashley. If it was Mike Ashley, now they'd have weeks and weeks of all going, oh, F Jeff, Mike Ashley this, Mike Ashley that. It doesn't matter. You can say whatever you want. It's not going to change. He's not going to look at Twitter and go, oh, I best pull out of this because a load of geezers don't want me to be.
Trevor from Mexborough don't want me.
There's nothing we can do with that information. And I understand what Rob's saying. I do understand what he's saying about Sheffield Wednesday fans should be asking the questions who the preferred bidder is. And I agree, but there's nothing we can do with that information. So what's the point in doing it?
And bear in mind, if the preferred bidder wanted to keep his involvement a secret, that's his prerogative too, right? But what Rob's done, he's done the job of a journalist and found this out, which I don't disagree with, right? People would like to know, and I'm not trying to tell people what like to know. I didn't like the tone of it, and I do you know what I mean? Like, why were wheeling Clive Betts out? What's his role here? I feel like he got tucked up a little bit, if I'm honest, Clive Betts. Because all it's going to do is have people going, "What you here for?"
No, I think Rob was the one who was on the bad end of that Radio Sheffield, because obviously Rob doesn't know, or what potential his guests could say on the radio. He gets them on to talk about X, Y, Z. For Clive Betts to turn around and say, well, I know people who've been rung up by this consortium asking if they've got 10 quid behind
that can get in the bin and all.
Do you know what I mean? He's saying, I've had these 2 people coming, and Rob's sat there and he probably didn't know he was going to say this, or he might have done, I don't know. But for him to say that, I just don't see what his issue, Clive Betts, was to say that. Is he trying to derail the whole process? Is he in bed with another bidder and he doesn't want these to get in? I don't know. So what does he want to gain from airing that on Rob's show?
Can you answer this question for me then? Because busy time of the year and everything else, I didn't listen to it at the time. Why was he on in the first place?
In it,
I don't know.
And it might just be guest filler. Don't get me wrong, right? Yeah. And Ash might be right there.
I don't think, and I'll offer a controversial alternative opinion here. I don't think they've gone to Clive Betts, given everything that's happened in the last 2 months, and gone, we've got no one.
Of course, a shitstorm here, son.
We've got nobody to interview, so let's get Clive Betts on. There's got to be a reason behind it, haven't they? There's got to be something going on. I don't think he's just gone on there and opened his mouth unknowingly to the people that were there. So what is happening at that element that's caused him to go, right, I'm going to get Clive on and we're going to go and do this.
So what you're saying is people like, so if Rob did know this on his radio, so he's going to get a guest on that's going to
open up a can of worms.
He's going to cause controversy. He's going to get clicks and shits and giggles and all that for his Radio Sheffield show. Why? I don't think a Radio Sheffield host, and I know people have said he's a Wednesday fan. I don't know who he supports. Why would he want to get a guest on his show that could derail or potentially upset a lot of fans with what he says in a process of selling what could be Rob's football club? I don't know who he supports. But
right. Let me answer that. Let me answer that. Let me answer that.
Yeah. Well, you're right. Yeah, it's definitely Clive's, of course. Yeah.
Let me answer that, right? So why would Rob bring somebody onto the show that's going to, because I don't think I think he in his head treated the Sheffield Wednesday fan base with a bit of contempt, because I think he thought that what he was doing by saying to Clive, listen, Clive, let's demand an update, because I think the people of Sheffield Wednesday will love that. I think the Sheffield Wednesday fans will absolutely go, yeah, do you know what? We have been through a load of shit. We do want an update. And I don't think he gambled. And I think that treats the fan base with a bit of contempt. You've had a lot of people talk about the way Rob is with people, and he's very Marmite with a lot of the fan base. And ironically, is a lot more talk sport than I am. I think he's really good at what he does in terms of sometimes rage baiting. But that's a different story. But I think in this moment, I think he underestimated that the Sheffield Wednesday fan base all didn't agree with him. And I don't think he was ready for somebody to go, hang on, Rob, fuck off a minute. Why can't we just let the process roll out as it should do? I'm happy that they're doing the due diligence. I'm happy that we're actually looking into it, because Chansiri came out of nowhere and it turned out that bellend was skint and it was a bit of a dickhead. Let's absolutely look into what's going on. You know what I mean?
And that's Rob's point, isn't it? That's where he's coming from. He's saying is we had Chansiri. The Wednesday fans should now be demanding to know who these three are.
And what input have we got?
Well, this is my point. What does that affect? It affects naff all. Because I can Google, and I'm sure there's a lot cleverer guys who've been spent the last few days going through all the internet trying to find out that they've got no money. And what does that... what's the end thing? You're not going to go to the administrators and go, actually, look what I found on Google. They've got no money. Because they've done all their due diligence, and the statement that they put out a few days later, which we'll get to as well, that now it's with the EFL to do their due diligence. It's going to take a few weeks. Mm-hmm. So I'm sure they're going to have the specialists and whatever to come up with all the questions and everything. And if the EFL pass them, give them the fit and proper test and pass them and say, yeah. My issue is that when they naff up in 5 to 10 years, like Chansiri did, we're the ones that pick the pieces up. The EFL don't, do they?
No.
They make the decision if they're fit and proper, but when they can't pay the bills, if it all goes tits up, we're the ones that have to pick the pieces up. And I don't agree with that process, but that's something else.
My concern with that, though, is I don't want to say there's no smoke without fire. I don't want to go down that sort of route and everything else. But we're talking about potentially mobilising a very passionate, and we are great for all the infighting that there's been at the moment. And I'll say it week in, week out, I couldn't be more proud to be a Wednesday fan. I love my club. I love the fan base. I love being part of the podcast. I love being part of this community. I love everything else that being a Wednesdayite is all about. My worry is that we're almost mobilising a fan base to say, right, based on things that have happened in the past, we need to start looking at this and we need to start looking at that. And people are now inevitably looking at the people that are coming in, because it isn't an oligarch, it isn't a sheikh, it isn't a multi-billionaire. There's a lot of secrecy around the funding of the potential new owner, if that is the person that we understand it to be. Now, if that person had come out and there'd been a transparency, and you go on the internet and you look at short circuit science, I think it's called, isn't it? And you can see a list of accounts, and he's a proven multi-billionaire that has this much money with a track record of investing there and this happening and that happening. We aren't having this conversation.
Yeah. I agree. You're right. The crux of the press release shouldn't have been, here's 3 names. It should have been, here's the geezers involved, and this is their successes that they've had in the past. Because at the minute, all we have is 3 names.
So straight away, what people are then doing, they're going, well, look at Cadova. And Cadova, I saw somewhere somebody went, he's taken them from 11th to 11th in the second tier, I think it is, in Spain. Dunfermline the same. There's been no investment. We haven't got these people that are coming in. Dunfermline aren't now top of the Premier League after 18 months, whatever it is, and I'm not here putting my nailing my colours to any sort of mass. But what I would say is the people are then going and doing this digging, this investigating, everything else that's happening, will all sit there and they're doing it because they want to pat themselves on the back. The bigger issue is, if we think as a group of a fan base, and I mean this with the greatest respect to the Trust, I think the Trust have done some phenomenal work. I think the people that are going online and doing their research are doing great work. But I have to say this, it's not our work to do. The people that need to be looking at whether or not these people are fit and proper are sitting in ivory towers down in London at the FA, and they are the people that are running things now. Because if the IFR don't get this right, and the Football Association don't get this right, the EFL don't get this right, and the regulators and we're the first big test case. If the regulators get this wrong, the regulators are fucked. The process is fucked. It's wrecked. So if we sitting here as, in relative terms, no longer a big club, because we're not the biggest club that we thought we once were. We're not an Arsenal. We're not a Man City. We're not a Man United. We don't have that Premier League power anymore. If we can find fault where they can't, there's some serious problems. So if James Board is the man, and James Board has been by the administrators and everybody else we've been told that he is the man that's got the best offer to give Sheffield Wednesday the best future, given the past that we've had, and he can guarantee that he's put down that down payment, and then we've got 50 million. Fine. Whatever it is whatever it is. My worry is, if he hasn't, there's some shit coming. There's some serious
but the shit would come from, it would go to the administrators straight away.
100%.
I trust the administrators, right? But it would also go to the EFL for the fit and proper test that's already under a lot of scrutiny anyway. Do you know what I mean? And because James Board in his spare time likes to play a bit of cards, in everybody's head right now, and because the way it's been released and the way it's been chucked out makes it seem like some professional gambler's taking us over with his gambling money. You know what I mean? That's the perception. But I tell you what, let's go to some comments. So Rob Shirley says 100% agreed on. There's a proper process. Let's just get on with it. Their comms have been frequent and timely throughout. Rob Brewer says the fan base isn't helping by demanding information. And I agree. I completely agree with this. Why can't we all be more patient and wait for it to play out? We could end up driving potentials off. Matt Potter says this is a non-story. We should be getting updates. We now have. The takeover needs to happen as soon as possible. End of. I'd like you to double down on that, Matt, because as it stands, we are getting relegated. We've got time. I know this seems ridiculous, and I know we're all tired, and I know we're all bored of getting beat, and I know we're all bored trying to write podcasts every week about this football club, but we have been given the gift of time. This is going to be a slow, drawn-out death, and what I'd like is to use this time before next season, before the transfer window opens, spend the next 2 or 3 months really looking into our potential owners. It doesn't need to happen sooner rather than later. I don't think that's true. Matt Davies says, but damn that journalist. Go on, Ash.
Sorry, no. What I was going to say, you finish that first, then I'll ask a question. Sorry, go on.
But Dan, isn't that journalism? First best rest and people jump all over it. And Clive Betts made his comment. In my opinion, Clive Betts needs to sort his constituents out. A bit more of a political comment than football there, Matt. But go on, Ash.
Do you trust the administrators?
Yeah, because it's their job. Now, bear in mind, right, I don't trust people in football, and administrators aren't people in football. And because we've come away from that, we're now dealing with businessmen. We're now dealing with a company that's dealt with 14 insolvency practices within football. So they know how it works. They know what they're doing. If anything, they're more equipped to run a football club than Dapon Chansiri ever was. So yes, I do trust the administrators, and the best deal that they get for Sheffield Wednesday is they also, by proxy, the best deal that they get for Begbies Traynor as a company as well. So yeah, I trust the administrators, because there needs to be a huge amount of money to come into Sheffield Wednesday, and no one's picking it up for a fiver, as Simon Jordan presented it to be as nickable, because we were now in a bidding war at in November. So we now know that the people who are still last man standing, they also have the clout, financial clout, to take us forward. So yes, I do trust the administrators.
Yeah, because when it first come about, and it was Chris Wigfield, who obviously is a very documented Wednesday fan, massive Wednesdayite. I don't speak for everyone, but I'm sure that a very high percentage of Wednesday fans thought, yes, we've got the best company with the best man at the helm to sail us through this sail. And now they've picked a person who's, or these three people who are obviously just figureheads. They are not the people with the money.
Correct.
It's a consortium. They've said it's a consortium. A consortium of three that everyone's done their Googling on is not going to be the consortium. There may be 10. There may be people who've got the money, or there are people with the money that don't want to be known. Do you know what I mean? And they want to, because if they are known and they go through the fit and proper and fail, then they don't look very good, do they? That you're a businessman that's failed a fit and proper. So keep in the back room before it all goes public, and then that's it. So the question to the fans is: Do you trust the administrators, Stevie? Do you trust them?
I did. If I'm honest with you, I did. And I'm not saying that I don't now. There just seems to be lots of things that don't sit well with me, and I can't tell you why. I'm sorry, I can't tell you why. I wasn't a fan of the WhatsApp situation, whether that be...
Stevie, what was in that WhatsApp that was particularly troubling? Because I read it a number of times, and I genuinely couldn't give a shit about what was in it.
Mate, don't get me wrong. The content of it was less the content and more the fact that it was something that has been
discussed,
captured, leaked. It's not.
But that's not the administrator's problem, though, is it? That's the person that's decided to grab and share it.
That's his mate.
But, why do that?
I genuinely, I read that WhatsApp and it was go, oh, bloody hell, Chris Wigfield's finished. He's absolutely done. Geezer was on holiday for one. And I didn't read anything in there that was anything to be concerned about. And bear in mind, the day after it came out, I also met with his boss and brought it up with him. And he went, you know what I mean? Like,
oh, yeah.
But I think what's been happening is because Chris Wigfield is a Sheffield Wednesday fan, I think he's been painted up, and I think people perceive him in a different way. You speak to Julian Pitts, right? Julian Pitts is is Chris and Paul's boss, right? Very wonderfully well spoken man. Oh, take one, like, you know what I mean? Really well spoken. Wears a scarf all the time. You know, that type of guy, right? And if he told me sky was purple, I'd be like, yep, all right. Julian says it is, but because Chris has got a Yorkshire accent and he goes to football, I think they perceive him as the type of bloke that goes down to working men's club and chins pints. Now, he's not that type of guy. He's a successful person at what he does, and because we see him as kind of one of our own, and we've now gone to this point because it became very prevalent when Adam Shaw was sniffing around, is that we were going, we'd rather the rich people and the businessmen now pick up and go with this process now, and that's what we are doing, and I like that we are. And people like Clive Betts, we need to look in the rearview mirror now. Like, we get it, Clive. We appreciate what you're doing for for the, we appreciate you trying, but it's not your knitting anymore. It's the rich people and the businessmen's time to shine now. But because we perceive Chris Wakefield as one of us, I feel like people are raising a concern about him. And then to double down on a WhatsApp group where he's a little bit, a bit laddie, just talking like a normal bloke, all of a sudden that shine of him being that remaining glint that he had of being one of these business guys has gone in the perception of some of the fan base. And I think we've overreacted about it.
I'm not saying that we haven't overreacted. I'm just saying it's something that I didn't, given everything that you've just spoken about, which I agree with to an extent. It's just not something that I would have expected to have seen. And it left me feeling a little less comfortable than I was. Let's just put it that way. I put, with every fibre of my being, I hope that the way that it pans out is the way that we're expecting and hoping that it pans out. They are right. Everything's right. The businessmen are right. The big boys are talking. The little boys can go away and play with their toys nowadays. Now, from my point of view, I just want the process to go. And I'm getting
because it's tough now watching Sheffield Wednesday. That's what it is, right? So the 5th of December deadline came and went. The transfer window's open. We also now know that we knew we weren't going to be able to make a signing until January 27. However, because we now know that there's some weird little loophole that we can ask for permission that we might be able to sign some people, we're now get this, and we all now have convinced ourselves. Get this takeover done so we might be able to sign some players in January. That's our best case scenario in all of our head, even though deep down we kind of know that's not going to happen. But we're a romantic bunch, and we know that's what we're thinking when we really dress it down. But we have had a comment here, Stevie, and I could talk about this all night. But the best comment here is, can we please stop this doom and gloom? So you know what I mean. Let's try and move on and keep it light-hearted. Go on, Ash. Wrap it up.
Jimmy, I've been the most positive one earlier on in the podcast. I did, so I know. But but we joked, didn't we, about doing podcasts every week, and we've got all this. We know we're down and out, and it's getting hard to keep going on over the same thing. But this is what we're going to talk about. This is what is Sheffield Wednesday at the minute, isn't it? This is the life that they are. It's all the crap online. It's all the rumours. It's all the who said, she said, we said type of thing, isn't it? That people want to know the information. And then the administrators had to come out, didn't they, and make a statement.
They did. So Chris Wakefield released a statement. It's quite a wordy statement. I'm not going to go down the route of reading it out online right now, but it essentially says, hey, be careful. Come on. We're all still in the process. And the fact that it was Chris that released the statement and not Paul, I found that really funny. And it says we can't jeopardize the process by breaching EFL rules or legal agreements with prospective buyers or disclose details prematurely before regulatory approval is being completed. So Chris Wakefield has sat there and said, we can't give you the details yet. Be careful. And then the EFL, and now we're in this back and forth, all from Clive Betts and Rob Staton shooting the mouth, right? This is where all this has come from, right? So Chris Wigfield's then released a statement. Then the EFL have gone, essentially, we had Christmas off and we didn't have any of the paperwork because it got released on, the preferred bidder status happened on Christmas Eve. And the EFL went, well, we only had it this week, so we haven't know about it yet. So can you be patient? Which, fuck off, EFL. You know what I mean? Out of any of this process, you're the people I trust the least.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
And then they said there's no rules governing that they can't release the preferred bidder's name either. There's nothing in the EFL rules where Chris Wakefield had said that obviously a few hours before that they were one of the things. Oh, we can't tell you all because of and EFL.
And they've gone. No, we've not told you any rules. What you on about?
Cheers. Yeah.
Thanks.
Exactly.
And that's made all the Sheffield Wednesday fans piss their pants online.
Yeah. I totally agree with you. The EFL are probably the ones out of all this that I couldn't give two shits for. And that's harsh because we are, as de facto, we are members of the EFL, our team. And so we have to, but they could have done. And I know they're trying the best and the club are talking to them every day about trying to get loans in. So they have really got Sheffield Wednesday by the bollocks. But it's for them to come out a few hours after Chris's statement it would be a piss take.
Can I say one more thing? Just with everything that we've just been talking about for the last 20, 25 minutes, we're talking about admin, we're talking about future of the club. I think it's important that we also, whilst all of this is going on in the background, if you like, we're still seeing people that are keeping the club afloat day to day. And the reason that I say this is that we've been fortunate enough to do the swap shop, and we've been fortunate enough to have that interaction with certain people at the club who, you know, are working all hours God sends and doing almost doing the Lord's work in relative terms of football fandom to keep Sheffield Wednesday going. You know, how hard is it for that person that's sitting on a social media account going, oh, we've just lost 3-0 again. Oh, we've just lost 3-0 again. Oh, this player's injured. Oh, we can't do this and we can't do that, but we're going to keep going. And in the middle of it all, let's announce a new partner, tobacco chewing gum partner. Let's get that in. And wait, look at us. We've conceded 6 goals in two games, and we're out the FA Cup, and we've only got this to look forward to. And the players are on their arse. Pierce Charles is injured. Otigbeo's the only centre half that we've got at the moment. Iofa's out for 4 to 6 weeks. All of these things keep going. And at the front of it, the people that are there at the club day to day are going, big smiles, come down to the club shop. Here, come and I mean this is no disrespect. Come and buy the football kit from 2 years ago because we've got a Macron deal on. Great initiative, fantastic. But they're having to smile through the shitstorm day in, day out, week in, week out. And I think you put everything to one side. Those people that are in and around it day to day deserve a hell of a lot of credit for keeping going. And I'd include the players with that as well.
Very much so, and I feel like, you know, mentioning that is really important. Ash, do you have any other business? The reason I felt like that was a topic we needed to bring up. I think that was something we needed to talk about because it's what's happening in the world of Sheffield Wednesday. I've got some very right wing views on it, I must admit, but I have a needless issue. I don't like people of Yorkshire being perceived in certain ways. I really dislike it. There are some very successful, really measured people in Yorkshire, and a lot of them watch this show, and a lot of them are on this show, and I don't like it that we're all perceived as fucking I can't believe bloody shitty class. How much is that going to complain about it? You know, I don't like it. I don't like it, and I feel like when you treat the people of Yorkshire with disdain, they fight back, and that's what I like about them. But go on, Ash.
No, mate, I haven't got any other bits you've talked about. I was going to just bring up obviously the boxing and the swap shop. So yeah, but there is news coming in the coming weeks. It's getting to that time of year. You know, the Christmas decorations are on half price in the supermarkets, and what's next around the corner after Valentine's Day? It's Easter, isn't it? So Easter eggs are in the supermarkets. You know what that means? Mrs. Rogers can't put the heating on in a couple of weeks. That's it.
So if you want to buy Mrs. Rogers a jumper or a big hoodie for Easter, she'll take some donations. Stevie, anything from yourself, sir?
No, just massive well done to Ash for getting the swap shop over the line. He's done a lot of the heavy lifting with it. Loads of happy faces. Picture on the screen at the moment. Loads of people came down, swapped. I learned a lot. It's a lot different from when I was doing it as a kid. Learned a lot. Ash was there with his app.
He's got an app.
Mate. What a saver.
He's got categorized stickers in elastic bands, in sandwich tins and all of that. And me and Lewis were waiting for a drink for about half an hour while he was still on all fours going, need, got. Right. And then as we're walking out, we left a couple in there, and the people sort of that walked out the door. Now, it's a bit of a pat on the back for Ash rather than us, but they were like, when are we doing this again? Can we do it next week? Are you back next week? I would like to think that we'll have an opportunity to do it again. Brilliant. Thank you so much for everybody that came down and supported it, and well done to Ash for getting it organised.
Fair play. All right, boys and girls, thanks a lot for joining us. Don't forget, if you, Matt Davies been on, if you want to join the WAWAW group on Facebook, search it out there, go and find it there, because the reason I brought that out is he wants to know when we're going to Benidorm. I feel like we should. Let's hope that there's a pre-season away day at Cordoba at least, you know what I mean? But then again, we had that pre-season in... where was it? It was only about 40 minutes from Benidorm, and I went to that one. I went to Spain for like 20 hours.
That was Cisco, weren't it?
Cisco.
Yeah. Oh. I went to Benidorm for 20 hours for a 0-0 draw to watch Cameron Dawson sweat one out in that sun. That was hilarious. And it was like 45 degrees. It was going through a big heat wave in Europe. So that was fun. But listen, thanks a lot for joining us. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Really appreciate you listening to us. And we'll probably see you next time. Don't forget to join us for Hello from the Other Side at the back end of the week. See you later.
Every week, live from 8 p.m. It's the Wednesday week. Bringing you football analysis.
But he said, we'll win the league next season.
Bringing you modern references.
I did a little 1920s fist pump there, not done that in a while.
If we could do just a one-to-one, not me because it'd last 7 days apparently, like Craig David.
I should not have said that. I should not have said that.
This shows like you're mental. No, I'm not.
Clip that.
Bringing you terrible impressions.
Wibble, wobble, wobbly, wobbly, wibble, wobble, Cyber Jordan. Going, hey, you got to play a 4-4-2. She. I don't know where these jokes are coming from.
Available on all social medias.
Obviously, this goes out on YouTube and as well as all the other social media out there, podcasts, etc.
The award-winning Wednesday week. Join us.
Put on your pod